I am really happy to be here. I wish the plaque were in the middle of the bridge, and I wish I'd had more time to know that it was not going to be in the middle of the bridge yet, because I would have called somebody from the state and asked them, what on earth do you have as a reason for not doing it the first time? But we are where we are right now, and I'm happy to be where we are right now. This is great to be doing this. I actually grew up around here. I grew up off of, I lived in D.C. till I was 10 years old near Whittier High School, but I moved, not Whittier, what is it, Coolidge High School. But I moved over to Silver Spring off Forest Glen Road, and I went to Montgomery Hills Junior High. And I remember the neighborhood, the historic black neighborhood, that was the other side of the bridge, right across from Montgomery Hills Junior High, that didn't have indoor plumbing, and they had outdoor bathrooms. And I remember that as a kid. And I also remember the inappropriate nickname that community had. And I'm not even going to say it, but it was totally inappropriate. And I grew up with that. And it was one of my early introductions to Montgomery County, which back in those days was incredibly racist. You know, this place is segregated till 1967. We ran it out pretty long before we decided the housing could be integrated here. And this community on this side of the bridge, that side of the bridge, was one of the first integrated neighborhoods, going back to about 1948 or 49. So it's just remarkable, the history of this place. And I knew Charlotte for a long time. She was kind of the epitome of good trouble, because she would fight for things. She was never like, nobody explained something to her and she said, oh, that's a nice explanation, I guess it's okay. If she thought it wasn't okay, she continued to think it wasn't okay. And she would think it wasn't okay until somebody made it okay. And I like that about her. I always enjoyed, she's the kind of civic activist that's just a pleasure to work with. I always encourage civic activism. I don't think people should take what's handed to them. I think, you have a right to ask for better. And Charlotte certainly understood that. And so it's also incredibly kind and gentle. She was always, whether she was angry or not, she was a person you could talk to and knew how to frame what she was getting at in really positive ways. And I think she was kind of irresistible because of that. Because she knew her facts, she knew what she wanted, she knew what was possible, and she was willing to force people to confront that the stuff that she wanted to do was possible. Fighting for this community, the rec center that's over here, this bridge that's over here, all these things were things that were important to her. Even when the park and planning rezoned part of the neighborhood over there, she understood full well that they were trying to displace people. And I will think, I know the folks from MHP aren't here, but one of the things that happened is one of the projects that they tried to rezone and displace actually got bought by a nonprofit. And so the plan to displace people has been thwarted, and I'm really happy to see that. Anytime we can stop park and planning from displacing people is a good day, and that was a good day. And what I really liked is her and the neighborhood largely felt like we like our neighborhood, we like our neighbors, we like the people who live here. We'd like to keep this the way this is. So that's a good thing to see. And even if you got a purple line stop, doesn't mean that the people who live here before the purple line should not be able to live here after the purple line. And we're replaying this agony in Silver Spring now, in East Silver Spring, where they've rezoned all the apartments at the purple line stop in Piney Branch, so they could have better apartments there. And those people will not be living in those apartments if they're successful. So Charlotte would understand that fight. And Charlotte, I know, would be there because she didn't have a boundary that was only around Littonsville. Her boundary was the county. And she was present where there were issues that mattered. And she was always willing to fight for things. She's born in 1933. She grew up in segregated Silver Spring. This was a neighborhood, but all these neighborhoods were with redlining. I remember her saying that you could work on the other side of the bridge, but you couldn't live on the other side of the bridge. Good enough to go do manual labor, because you also weren't getting management jobs anyplace in Montgomery County. But you could work manual labor on the other side, but you could not live over there. Littonsville's African-American community depended on the bridge for access to medical care, shopping, transportation, and essential services. It's hard to believe that Silver Spring was once the retail hub of Montgomery County. But the Heck Company and the Pennies and the G.C. Murphy and all the other stores that were in that shopping center were the heart of Montgomery County. There was no Wheaton Plaza. When I moved here, Wheaton Plaza was still a field. There was no Montgomery Mall. There was no other major place to go shopping. The capital of Montgomery County was pretty dinky back then. Rockville was nothing special, and Bethesda wasn't anything special. This was the commercial spot. So this, starts out as a pretty remarkable place. When DC schools integrated, then people from DC started leaving DC and moving into Montgomery County. The real estate agents in Montgomery County advertised Montgomery County in 1960 as "we're still segregated." I guess they thought that would go on forever, but fortunately it did not go on forever. Received the Roscoe Nix Distinguished Community Leadership Award in 2019. The award honors individuals who make exceptional contributions to improving life in the county. She's recognized as a third-generation Montgomery County resident for her service to the deaf and the hearing impaired community, which I did not know about when I first knew her. She was the first sign language interpreter in the United States Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and she became a nationally respected expert on interpreter training programs. She serves as president of the Littonsville Community Association, and she led efforts in historic preservation, transportation issues, and land use planning. There's a lot you can say, and I know other people are going to say, and I'm glad her daughter's here to see this and be part of it. She's a wonderful human being. This is something we're doing to recognize her and to make sure that she's always remembered for what she did in this community. And I know the people who live here are going to continue her memory and remind new people who come here about the history of this community, how it became what it was, and what role Charlotte played in making all this possible. So thank you all for being here today. It's a good tribute to her, and I look forward to this. I look forward to coming back for that. Thank you.